Yeah, just before we go into that, I'll just say this is number 26, and it's a continuation of number 5. So this is a practical application of the technique that I just mentioned on the previous video. Okay, now the question.
Okay, so when you say have a question that reoccurs, and the way you described it, it seems very simple to say what to it. But when I think of my question, it becomes far more complicated, you know, because it's
It usually is, because again, okay,
so
you ask it, you ask the question.
The question that's always reoccurring to me is, when will tomorrow come? And meaning, like, when will something change? When will tomorrow be actually different? Because tomorrow is always yesterday to me.
Okay, stick with that now for a moment, please. Okay? Now, when will tomorrow come? Maybe you'd like to come closer to me here. Okay?
Okay.
And we'll do that. Okay. Yeah, could you please take the chair? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can leave the chair here. Right. Okay, when will tomorrow come? What? Okay, now, what is the what? Instead of why, how would you put what to it? What is the question you're really asking?
What will make something change?
What will make something change? Okay, now that's going to be your intent. Okay? And leave it, don't seek for an answer. Now the second one is what you are seeking. So in your heart, how would you prefer it to be? How would you prefer to feel instead of this feeling? When will something change? When will I going to be different? What, you know, how long is it going to take? How would you prefer it? How would you prefer to feel instead
Okay.
of that? You want to feel okay, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
You feel that this is really what you want, isn't it? To feel okay.
When you keep it simple, that's the answer.
That's the, okay.
Yeah.
Now we're going to make it into a solution. Okay, now close your eyes. Focus on the spot between the eyebrows. Take a very deep breath. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Let go totally. Okay, now focus on my finger, please. And think nothing else but my finger. Nothing else exists but my finger. That's all there is. Just the feeling of the finger. Keep your eyes closed. Now, how do you feel? Feel relaxed? Are you okay now?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened to that question?
It's just a story in the mind.
Just a story in the mind, isn't it? It has no reality at all. Okay, thank you, sweetheart. Okay, now it is very simple, but do not ever minimize something because it is simple. Because life is very simple. We have to be innocent, you see, like babes. We have to trust the Holy Spirit. Now, I talk a lot about the Holy Spirit because that is who you are. It is Holy Spirit because it is holy. It is whole. It is complete. It is the being. And it is Spirit. Because the fulfillment, the peace, okayness, strength is not tomorrow. It is this moment. this moment right now. You see, as you keep going back to that. And this is something that is not, that might not now. What happens is that thoughts still will come. The ego still will come to resist the very thing you want most. But now you're a little wiser. And that's what's important. You see? So you never stop working at it. It doesn't happen. You see, the evolution of the heart, the evolution of you doesn't happen overnight. It took me 27 years following the teachings of Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi until one day I woke up and says, I know nothing and there's nothing to know. You see, I was having a conflicted relationship and I was having problems, and I was like, you know, between a rock and a hard place called Catch-22, and I had nowhere to go. And that's a good place to be, because when you've got nowhere to go and no solution in sight, there's only one energy that can respond to that. That's called the Holy Spirit. You see? And the Holy Spirit is, all of us is the Holy Spirit. But you can see it almost like you can talk to it. I talk to it. Like, for example, today I said, well, today is going to be the last one this year, Satsang, you know, and then next year when we start again, it's going to be 2012. And that's a very powerful time in our life. Consciousness is shifting at an incredible rate. And the more aware we are, the more simple we are, the more we shift, the greater, you know, the power. So then I asked the Holy Spirit, what subject shall I have? And then I got up in the morning and I had this, what I'm talking about today. So the reason, and if I can do it, anybody can. So what I'm saying to you is this, that if you start trusting, because the best teacher is not someone outside of you, the best teacher is your Holy Spirit. And if you keep asking it and follow this process, it's very, very simple. And it's very simple. It is so simple that the ego is going to have a field day with it, trying to get you away from it. Okay? But this is where you have to be smart. You see? Remember, a few moments of stillness. Be still and know, I am God. Okay. Now, I wasn't sure whether anybody else here was going to volunteer. And I'm very happy that you did. And so I went on the internet and I found a site, and I printed, and it had thousands of questions that people ask when they're growing, when they're new and they're evolving. And so I printed the first page of questions. It's called spiritual psychology, they call it. So what I'd like to do with you here is to go through the questions that most people ask, and please get involved. All right? Because the more you get involved, the more you express, the faster you reach your heart. Okay. The first question that is on this list, these are not things I made up. These are things that people actually ask, and they listed them down. I often feel scattered and stressed. How can I be more at peace within myself? How do we understand that question? Say anything.
They are out of their self.
Hmm?
They are out of their self.
They're out of their self? They're
They're not.
totally self-concerned, in other words. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they're just not grounded.
They're not, okay, you call it not grounded. All right, okay. So now, how would you put it instead of why do I feel scattered and stressed? You see? And how can I be more at peace with myself? Oh, yeah.
I would replace why with what.
With what?
What is it? And look at it as look at the question as an object, and just see what kind of discovery will come out of it. Just like, okay, all right.
What is stress?
What is stress?
What is being scattered?
What's being scattered?
Right.
And
Yeah.
just
Now
go
the
from
mind
there.
wants to reach an answer here. Don't. Don't try to reach an answer, because if you do reach an answer, your mind will go back to the past, okay, perusing what you have studied in psychology and books, and it remains in your head, okay? So right now, don't answer it at all, but have it as an intent to understand, okay? Now the second part of the question is, what is this person seeking?
Peace.
Peace is one.
Self.
Hmm?
Self.
Capital S, right? Right, capital S, higher self, right, yes, right. You see, if you ask the person, how would you prefer to feel instead of feeling stressed?
Relaxed.
Relaxed? Right, okay, all that. And then we go to number 3. You go to number 3, you close your eyes, you take a very deep, learn to breathe from here. Breathing is very important. It brings you right here, right now. You let go totally. And then peace. I am at peace. I'm relaxed. And then at that moment you realize you got it. It's right there. Of course the ego will come back and say, hey, you know, it's not like that. Tomorrow you're going to be the same. That's okay. It doesn't matter. This is bound to happen. Okay? Because the ego is that part in you that always, 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 okay, resists the very thing you want most, which is unconditional love. So as you keep doing this with every question, you get closer and closer to what?
The solution.
The solution. Not the answer. You see, all answers are okay. I reply to a lot of people, but I often tell them, you see, I give them something to do, because the answer is a pointer, but it doesn't give you itself peace. You might understand it, it might make you feel a little bit better temporarily, but tomorrow you're going to be the same. So the point is to get into the heart, not the mind, you see, to feel something more and more all the time. The second question is, when I turn on the news and see all the natural disasters and conflict around the world, I wonder how I can be better prepared spiritually and psychologically to handle whatever comes. What is this person really asking? And if you asked it yourself, what is it that you really are asking?
How do I stay safe?
Very good. Very good. Okay. Sharp. How do I stay safe? Okay? Now, the mind is going to leap for an answer, something you've read. Don't. Okay? Leave it as an intent to experience it. Because the self-awareness that you are, which is self-organizing, goes to work anything that you give it. So if you say, I give it to the Holy Spirit, I don't need to find out an answer. This is how you get, like for example, if, you know, whenever I'm going to give a satsang, a few days ahead, maybe whatever, I'll say, okay, I wonder what the next satsang is going to be, Holy Spirit. What are you going to give me? What is it that I should be talking about? And then it comes as an inspiration. It never fails. And I've been doing this for many, many years. Okay? And this is something that everybody has. This is because we all have the Holy Spirit. Well, of course. Naturally, you are the Holy Spirit. You see? It's the being that you are, which is also known as unconditional love. And that will come. So now, how do I feel safe? What am I really seeking? What am I seeking from this question? And it asks, how do I feel safe? So what are you asking?
Security.
Yeah, you're seeking safety. You know, I mean, it's very, very simple. But this is what we are seeking. This is what we want. How do I feel safe?
Would you ask at this point, what is safety? Or
What is safety? Very good. Thank you. That's right. That's right. You ask what is safety, not why do I feel safe or why. Right. Right. What is safety? You see, and you leave that as an intent. And then you go to the second part, and the second part is what am I seeking? Which is let the heart know. What do I prefer? How do I prefer to feel? You see, and I prefer to feel safe. And then you become very still and go into emptiness, go into nothingness, go into stillness. And that very stillness is safety. Do you know that the more you experience that stillness, the more safe you feel? And you know what? Another thing that becomes so beautiful when you start doing this and you become very still and listen, is that you realize you are totally immortal. You were never born and you'll never die. And so the fear of death will drop just like that. Truly. And I'm not kidding you. You know, I had blood poisoning a few years ago. No, not a few years ago. How long ago was it? You remember?
Yeah, 3
You know, and I was dying. And I had a smile on my face. I had a beautiful experience. So, and then I realized something beautiful too. I'm not afraid to die, if I did. You see? And that comes when you start knowing who you are, truly who you are. Okay, we're doing great here. Okay. Another one is, there seem to be so many problems in my life right now that it's hard for me to keep my faith. What's the best way to go through difficult times? What is this person asking? Now, it's as if it's you asking it. What are you really asking here?
How do I find peace in a storm?
Very good. How do I find peace in a storm? So now we turn it to what?
What's the problem?
Hmm?
What's the problem? What is faith?
What is faith? What's the problem? I like that. What's the problem?
There's no question to that.
Well, if it can be that easy, no. I mean, no. Usually the person asking this, it doesn't come that way. But we can leave it at that. So now we go into the second one. What am I seeking? What do I really want? And we go to the heart. How do I prefer to feel? How do I prefer to feel? Instead of what this person asked. And remember, you might say, but how do I know what this person is going to feel? Remember, we're all the same. When we feel the ego, it's one ego. When you are in your happiness and bliss, it is the same God, one God. Okay? So remember that we're all one.
He would prefer to have faith.
Prefer to have faith.
That's what he's.
Very good, very good. So therefore, you see, now you might not know what faith is. You might not know exactly what it feels like, but you go into your emptiness. You take a deep breath. You can do it yourself, you know, touch your forehead. And the reason for that is so that you don't think. You feel. Okay, please remember the difference between feeling and thinking. Thinking is always about it. Always about it. I'm thinking about the camera. It's about the camera. You see? Whereas feeling is, I'm feeling the camera now. Because I'm aware of it. But it's not an emotional feeling. I'm feeling it. You see? I'm aware of it. Okay. So you bring it to now.
There's no judgment in it.
No judgment. No. Judgment is all mind, part of the ego. Part, right? Yeah. So you return back to innocence. So when you empty yourself, everything that is beautiful, everything that is good, you start to feel automatically. That's what that's the Holy Spirit's guidance. See, it comes as an inspiration. You don't achieve anything. You don't go any place. You're always now. You're all forever now. And when you begin to feel the now, in the now you are. Be still and know I am God. You've all heard of those 7 words, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is a long one. Someone asked, in your last column you talked about feelings of abandonment. He's referring to the author who wrote something about abandonment. That struck a chord with me. Sometimes I feel abandoned, even by God. Could you help me understand how this relates to my spiritual health? What is this person asking? Always get to the gist of it, to the main point. It's talking about abandonment here,
They're
right?
disconnected?
Hmm?
They're disconnected.
That's feeling disconnected, right? Feeling abandoned, disconnected, separate.
Separate.
Right. Okay. Remember, this is not a big deal here. You bring it down to the feeling, to the major point. Okay. It's feeling disconnected. Good. Okay. So now ask what instead of why. How would you put it?
You could say, what is disconnection?
What is disconnection? Well, and you don't answer it. Okay, I have to repeat ad nauseum here because I know we're intent to say, oh, I have to think about it, I wonder what it means. Okay, so you go back into that. What is disconnection? That becomes your intent to discover when you go into silence. See, the moment you leave it as an intent, the Holy Spirit goes to work on it, because it is made up of self-organizing. So whatever you leave there automatically becomes your inner knowing. And it doesn't come as with words, it just comes as a feeling, a knowing inside you that you're not disconnected. It's a knowing, it starts coming to you. You see? So we all know this technique, eh? Okay. Shall I read one more? Okay, my family and I disagree about rock music. Personally, the rock beat jangles my nerves and gives me a headache. Our teenage son and daughter tell me rock is cool, and our 10-year-old son is beginning to follow their lead. My husband says, so what's the problem? So any counsel you can give me for a frazzled mom? You know, when there's a lot of words to it, it doesn't seem as if it's complicated. So always make it simple. What is the question here? What is this person asking?
They don't understand?
Okay, she's feeling
Left
yeah,
out.
Okay. Okay. All right.
How do I live in peace in any circumstance?
Under any circumstance. How do I live in peace under any circumstances? That is truly the question. Because if you have people living with you and they're playing rock music and you can't stand it, I mean, can't you understand how frustrating that could be? Okay? But there is a way, you see, that when you begin to say, how can I live under all circumstances of peace? Somehow or other, amazing things will happen to change to your advantage in ways you won't even understand. When you start trusting the Holy Spirit, the higher intelligence that you are, the spirit that you are, it begins to change things around you never thought were possible. You see? So you leave that as an intent, then you go back. How would I prefer to feel instead of this feeling? How would she prefer to feel instead of feeling frazzled?
Totally unaffected in your core, no matter what's going on.
Okay, so no matter what, right? Okay, then you go into it. You take a deep breath, you focus on your third eye. You stay with it for about 2 minutes until you feel total relaxation, total peace, because the mind in the beginning can come in and try to make you think. I wonder if this is going to be solved, or what if nothing changes? So the point is to reach total non-thinking, okay, total emptiness. The intent will go to work on it, and then later on it will come as a feeling. They might be playing rock music, for example, in a little while, and says, wow, it's not even bothering me. Oh, they're saying something in music that somehow relates to what I was thinking about, or something like this. It does. I'm trying to make something out of it.
Or the power.
What I'm saying is,
the power just got shut off. How'd that happen?
Yeah, something went wrong with the player. Yeah. Okay, so are there any questions about what we talked about, the whole thing?
May I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
I'm sure we've all gone through this, and I don't know if it's on TV, if it's just being recorded, or everyone's gone through this, where you may have come across spiritual experiences. Like, let's say you're meditating, you feel very peaceful, and my question is, where does that peacefulness go? Like, where did it go? I can't find it anymore. That kind of it's like I can't feel it anymore. That's my question that tends to come up.
Where does it go?
It's just almost like it's like, for instance, last week, it just for several days, there was a deep trust, moment to moment, and it was kind of scary for a while, because it's like, how am I supposed to function and think, whatever. But at the same time, the more I sunk into it, the more I felt like trust in the moment, and it just, yeah. And then all of a sudden now, in this place right now, it's almost like the ego came back, in a way, like just the regular thinking, the desires, just the regular thing. But there's maybe like a little bit of a piece left, but it's just almost like it's hidden. It's almost like it's. And where did it go?
Remember what
That's
we
my
said
question.
a while ago? You said we resist the very thing that we want most. Okay, and the more you want something, the more you tell yourself, what if I lose it?
Yeah.
And then the loss will come in.
Yeah.
You see? And then it will come in the form of resisting what we want most. Oh, darn, like for example, I want peace. Shut up! So you see, you're saying you want peace, but you're resisting the very thing you want most by saying shut up and getting upset. You see? You see how the ego works? Okay, now the point is to be aware of that. So somehow or other you are creating a form of subtle sabotage there. So this is where you have to be alert. You see? The Course in Miracles is very beautiful in this. It says there are two things you can do. Trust the Holy Spirit or your ego.
Yeah.
And it's that simple. And the Holy Spirit is always love. Always. Always perfect love.
But even in that, all I hear is like embracing the human being.
Embrace the human being.
Because we're not just being, we're
Right.
human.
And remember those two words that we said, compassion and forgiveness. One time, Dr. Tedford, you've heard of Dr. Tedford? He's also co-founder of A Course in Miracles, and they were having a talk on A Course in Miracles, and two people pointed to a particular page on the Course, and they were arguing about it, what it means. One says, no, this means this, and the other one says, it means this. Tedford is an Enneagram number 9. He's a very laid-back, very quiet, easygoing person. He got up, took the page from the book, tore it up, and he said, now stop, because the Course in Miracles is not words in a book. It is, all it is forgiveness. He says, but if there is no forgiveness now, when you're arguing, you're missing the whole point of A Course in Miracles, which is all about forgiveness, you see? So we miss the point because, again, we keep resisting the thing we want most. Would you rather be right or happy? You see, the ego wants to be right, you see. But happiness is your right, you see. Because when you're happy, you function from your optimal self, from your true self. When you're not happy, the ego comes in. And when the ego comes in, you become like that little child. Picture the following, okay? To picture resisting the very thing we want most. Picture a very difficult child. So difficult that you're tearing your hair out because you don't know what to do. So let's assume, I'm making this up as we go along, okay? So therefore you ask a child psychologist, and the child psychologist comes in and he says, he talks to the child, and fine, he reaches understanding. Then he talks to the parents and he says, you know, the child is acting like this because he has not been validated. He has not been listened to. He's been feeling controlled. He's been feeling told what to do all the time without explanation. In other words, he has not been feeling loved. And all the child wants is love. So now, because the child has not received love, it becomes a rebellion. And a rebellion is, and it goes on even when you become a teenager. You almost do things that actually hurt other people. And even hurt yourself, because you resist the very thing you want most. So suppose the mother says, oh, I'm going to be more loving towards my child now. I'm going to be more understanding. And she goes and reaches out to give him a hug. What does the child do? Right. He pushes her away. Why? We resist the very thing we want most. You see? So what we want most is unconditional love. But when we don't get it, what happens is we do not realize that everybody wants it. You see?
But we are it.
That stopped? Okay. Is it? No. Okay, what's that?
We are it. It's the ego.
We are it. We are unconditional love. Yes. We are the very thing that we want, that we prefer. It's our heart right now. But we have to have the courage to allow it. You see? And by understanding, and what I loved about the Course in Miracles, you know, when Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi appeared to me, I had a vision of him. It changed my life, and I was a physiotherapist at the time. And I gave up my work just to focus on him and meditate and chant his name and all that. That's all I wanted to do. I was in love with him. And I followed his teachings for 27 years. And I thought I knew until one day I had this incredible mind-blowing experience where it says there's nothing to know. You see, there's nothing to understand. There's only to be. And it's all about forgiveness, like the Course says. Compassion and forgiveness. So we'll leave it at that, okay? Namaste.